Absolutely delighted to be here. I think the reason I'm really delighted to be here is, in my view, experience management really is the rising tide in organizations and in multinationals right across the world. And that's one of the key things that I want to talk to today. So today's topic is about aligning technology and human experience, and really interested in some of the points Michael was making up front, and we've seen that in 3 as well. So I think there can be no question that most of us have gone all in on customer experience. But I suppose my starting contention is that maybe we've over-indexed on customer experience. That sounds a bit strange. So I'm in a room of CX professionals, and I'm saying you've all over-indexed. Now, I'm not going to rubbish our profession, but my fundamental point is I think customer experience is only a part of the solution. And it's actually experience management that we should be looking at. So I suppose as a company, I'm going to spend the next 20 minutes or so really talking about that philosophy of experience management and how all the key components come together. But my main contention is the way we're looking at things right now is we're only seeing part of the issues customers face by only looking at customer experience. And we're not seeing the whole. We're not seeing all the components that influence the choices that customers make with our brands and what they do next, because we're just looking at the parts that influence the customer. Main contention is our focus on CX is only revealing a certain portion of what matters to our customers. And with good customer experience programs, look, we're understanding more and more of what affects customer choices, but we're not understanding the whole of it. And if we don't understand the whole of it, we can't improve the whole of it. So I'm going to talk to you today about this model. It's a model we worked with Qualtrics, our tech partner in this space on. And this model is pretty simple. It talks about a holistic view of experience management, a view that looks at the customer experience, the product experience, the brand experience, and critical, as Michael said, the employee experience in your organizations. But today's topic is about aligning the technology and the human element. So I thought it was appropriate, we're in this great venue, National Concert Hall. I thought it appropriate maybe to start with something quite fitting. So quick show of hands if you recognize this piece of music. Very young audience. So that piece of music it's about 50 years old. But it's actually from a play written in 1897. There's a radio play originally written by H.G. Wells. And the play is about Martians coming to Earth, and there's these kind of tripod robots that are trying to kill everyone. And we've seen that happen a lot through popular culture. So 1977, Star Wars, a kind of world full of robots. Good robots, bad robots, villains, heroes. And again, we've seen it continue through the theme of movies. So I'm going to show you this clip, which in my view is one of the best endings that sets up a beginning for a trilogy of movies.
I know you're out there. I can feel you now. I know that you're afraid. You're afraid of us. You're afraid of change. I don't know the future. I didn't come here to tell you how this is going to end. I came here to tell you how it's going to begin.
So that's the beginning of what I want to talk about. So that movie, its fundamental premise, it's The Matrix, it was made in 1999. The fundamental premise is that we as humans are actually slaves to technology. And in that movie, actually turns out we're nourishment for the evil robots that are kind of running the world. And it was a really interesting concept, because what that movie did was it took the original definition of a robot and flipped it. Because the original definition was from a play by Karel Čapek, in which he described a robot. And a robot was a Czech word originally, and robot meant a machine that performs dangerous work on behalf of humans. And the second part of the definition was that it's a slave to humans. And The Matrix kind of flipped that original concept. And we worry about that, okay? So we've worried about that as a race for the last 100 years. So a recent article by Louis Anslow traces our concern about technology taking us over. And it traces it back the last 100 years, hundreds of newspaper articles. Technology is going to run the world. It's going to replace us. It's going to replace our jobs. It's going to make our life less meaningful. And last year, we had quite a scary thing happen. So I don't know if you remember this headline from last year, where a company had to shut down a robot after it spontaneously developed its own nonsense language.
I think I am actually humble. I think I'm much more humble than you would understand.
Sorry, it's a wrong slide. It's another presentation. So the company that shut down its chatbots was Facebook. Okay, two bots started talking to each other in a language that people didn't understand. And again, popular culture, we've seen this happen an awful lot. So Dan Brown, the author or the historian, depending on your perspective, his latest novel spoke about quite an interesting concept. And that interesting concept was a concept of humanity and technology blending into a new genotype, a kind of bionic genotype. Quite scary, quite apocalyptic stuff, but interesting concept. And we've seen that really right through time. So there's a fascinating thought leader in this space, Gert Leonhardt, and he talks about the need for regulation on AI. And he talks about where human rights and AI rights start to blur and what might happen in that space. So I tend to reference his work a lot. I'm going to show you a 1-minute clip of his views on that very subject, on will technology replace us?
This is really what's happening. Routine is ending. You know, anything that does not require human ingenuity, judgments, snap decisions, intuition, imagination, machines will learn. So that's financial advice, bookkeeping, driving a car, flying an airplane, to a certain point. McKinsey said in a big study just a few months ago that only 5% of all jobs that can be automated can be completely automated. So in other words, the end of the routine is here, or near. But it's not the end of work.
But it's not the end of work, and that's also how you outsource 1 minute of your presentation. So not the end of work, right? But the key for me is actually quite simple from what's going on in this whole space of robotics and technology. And that is fundamentally that technology has changed from a thing that supports experience to a thing that is an experience. And that's the fundamental premise of how we started to look at things in 3. So I think it's the key ingredient to add when you're talking about creating that harmony between the human and technology worlds. So back to the day job, right? So I sit on the leadership team of the operations function in 3, so it's call centers. And with that, charged with the usual trick of my team deliver the change required to do this, to deliver better service to the customer, to deliver a better experience to the customer, but it's the real world, to do it at less cost and to keep more customers, so less churn. And we did things very early in that strategy that, again, Michael referenced up front. So one of the first things we recognized was that customers want to talk to a person, and actually, in a lot of the feedback we got was they wanted to talk to a local person. So we moved a lot of our outsource activity back into Ireland. But to do that, we had to invest an awful lot in web chat and back office technology. And what we did was we went on a very large program, a 3-year program, 90% investment in technology. On the best-in-class technologies we could find to make the experience better. So we put in new IVR, really simple, easy to use. We put in a new app, again, simple to use, clean user experience. We built about 100 new chat and messaging journeys, really drive digital hard. It worked in terms of the Irish customer. Put in new contact center scheduling technology. Built real-time contact center analytics. Again, we put in speech analytics then on top of that to get quality even better. In the background, as an organization, we're putting about 300 million into the network. Well, the slide that should be behind me says we're putting 300 million into the network. We're putting about 300 million into the network. And then very publicly, we have also invested significantly in replacing our billing and CRM systems. And why? To create a new omni-channel experience. But there was a really key turning point in that 3-year technology investment piece. And that turning point was when we decided we needed to invest in experience management. So we did a deal with Qualtrics and allowed us actually to think about those 4 axes that I started talking about originally. So customer, product, brand, employee. And we hadn't nailed all of it. We realized we needed to augment that investment by working with Michael and the team in the CX company. I'm going to explain why we thought we needed to do that. So with Qualtrics, we'd spent a lot of time building journeys, measuring stuff, and we felt we were starting to get a handle on customer experience and on product experience. So customer service collections, etc. Product, actually using our network, using voice, using data, plans, prices, etc. But we hadn't really cracked brand. And brand was where we realized we needed to work with Michael and the team. Because we weren't really clear. We knew brand was more about acquisition than anything else. It had to attract customers. And we'd no reference point externally into what was going on. So we met Michael and the team. And so we work in a telco, and you're probably aware, telcos traditionally don't have very good NPS scores. And working with Michael and the team, the first thing Michael told me was, well, you know, delighted to work with you, but you guys stack bottom of the pile in terms of customer experience versus a lot of the companies in this room today that are doing great things. Now, there was a silver lining. You know, what we saw was with our technology investment over the last 3 years, we had significantly improved our customer experience. So we'd improved it by about 9% over 3 years, which turned out to be about the 4th highest improvement of all the brands in the survey. But we were still in this telco cluster down the bottom of experience rankings. And I think the mathematical term is we were in the statistical cluster of crapness down the bottom. In any case, what that gave us was a handle on brand. So that's the 3rd element. 4th element, upfront, employee experience. So Qualtrics did a worldwide survey of employees in multinationals right across the world recently. And one of the questions they were asking was, well, so how stressful is your industry? How fast-paced and how stressful? So technology space, about 28% of respondents said it's pretty fast-paced, it's pretty stressful. Space I work in, telcos, about 30%, very stressful. And then the most stressful jobs are in media and news. And again, you'd expect that, because it's about real-time turnaround of information, of stories, and pushing it out to the public. But one of the findings in that survey was, actually, that doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter if you ask for and respond to employee feedback. And that was key. And I know that's not going to be new to most of you in the audience. But it did get us thinking, because as an organization, we do what most multinationals do. And we do an annual, really big employee survey of everybody. It's quite comprehensive. It gauges employee engagement and another number of other key things. But at that stage, we realized that, you know, an annual survey actually isn't good enough. We really do need to pulse key employee journeys and key employee experiences of the organization. So the experience of interviewing for a role and getting it or of not getting it, the experience of training, the experience of benefits, etc. And that's really where we're at in terms of our forward-looking view, is we're only scratching the surface on the employee piece. But why have we been talking about these 4 elements? Well, we've got the 4 elements that we're focusing on. But where I started with the AI and the robots and stuff is fundamental belief that technology actually is the string that brings it all together. It runs through the whole lot. And when you think about it that way, you've got technology in the middle. In our case, we've got brand and product. So we're using it to really think about acquisition. Great product will acquire new customers, and a great brand will do the same. And at the top, in terms of customer and employee, well, that's about retention. So the customer experience, retaining customers, employee experience, retaining employees, in order that they deliver a better, more informed service to retain customers. So it kind of closes the whole loop. But here's the bad news. I think it actually only starts there. Okay, so because I think if you accept that experience management is the thing that we need to deliver, well, then you actually have to kind of turn everything on its head, okay? And by that, I mean, if experience management is key, in the old days, CX, or customer experience, used to sit in a kind of corner of marketing, and people used to kind of look at CX and go, well, they're marketing types, and they color stuff in, and blah, 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 blah. But no, we're saying, do you know what, this is actually far, far more scientific than where arguably it might have started. And this is about an entire framework. A framework then that requires cadence, governance, structures, and an understanding that allows you pull all those elements together and hone in on so what? Hone in on the improvement. Why? Because we believe that customers don't interact with a part of the company, with the call center, for example, okay? We think that way. So we measure call center, or we measure retail, okay? But customers think in the horizontal. Customers think right across the organization. So again, customer perspective. If a thing fails for the customer, if it's a process in CRM, in the call center, or if it's a tech issue deep in the network, or if it's a communication that's a bit wonky that goes out to them from campaigns, it doesn't matter. Customer just sees 3 failed. They don't see the vertical failed. And that's kind of the overall premise with this. And basically, in this space, we think customers actually really want 5 things. They want to buy stuff. They want to use stuff. They don't want to, but they have to pay for stuff. They want to feel valued. And something else. Oh yeah, the product needs to work. To check my own material there. So going to bring all that together. I think the glue that brings it all together is technology. But it's part of the puzzle. So we're used to looking at certain things. So we're used to looking at process flows. So this is classic business process management. Okay, and parts of the organization do that. And then if you go back into your overall framework, we have a handle on marketing campaigns. What goes to a customer when? Is it automated? Does it look for certain trigger points? And then you've got the key piece that brings all of that together, which is technology. And the technology space then looks at key things like technology availability, technology usability. What's going on? Does it make the employee's job easy to serve the customer? And the most fundamental premise, I think, or the biggest challenge we face as an organization, is to bring all of that together. To put all those disparate elements under control. To understand their sequencing, to understand their timing, to understand what each element does on the other one, and their place in the overall experience and that control. And that's really about mapping each horizontal, measuring each horizontal, and intervening when stuff fails. But what you're looking at is way, way bigger than CX. It's CX, it's tech, it's employee experience, it's brand, it's product, it's the whole lot. So I'm going to close in a couple of minutes. I just want to kind of summarize some of the things, some of the journey we've been on. So it has been a big investment in people, and we had to set up a dedicated team to do it. We've got 2 CX managers that helped do this in the audience. One now works for PTSB, so it's a thank you to Stuart Russell, wherever he's sitting. And his successor, Jenny Wilson, now runs the CX unit. And below them, there was a whole team of people partnering with the organization to make this a reality. But the top 3 things I think that we've been reflecting on is, number 1, technology is the zeitgeist of the moment. Everyone's talking about bots, they're talking about AI, they're talking about what it's going to do. But fundamental premise is technology isn't just an enabler of an experience. I really believe that technology is an experience in and of itself. Number 2, CX on its own actually only reveals a portion of the customer. If you bring all the elements together to customer, brand, product, employee, and tech, you've got a far broader view. And the third piece, which is that's where I was talking about the challenges ahead, are every element needs to be mapped, understood, put under control, and you need to intervene on. It needs to perform. It needs to perform in perfect harmony and unison. So what I'm going to do is, I'm actually going to close with a video. And it's a video of about 106 musicians, 2 choirs. So there's about 300 people in this piece. And it's the Danish National Symphony Orchestra. And they play a series every year. And they played a series last year. But I've got a simple question for you. I just want you to watch it, switch off for a minute, and just watch. and ask yourselves if you think these guys arrived on stage unsure of their role in the overall experience, unplanned, unrehearsed, uncontrolled, and just did they wing it or not? Or is what you're about to see a really, really well-tuned unit that is practiced, understood, and allows every element work in absolute harmony. So I've really enjoyed talking to you today. Thank you very, very much.